Tania Okpala's story is one that's got a lot of people talking recently, and honestly, it's the kind of story that leaves you reflecting. Imagine seeing someone who was once a shining star in Nigerian sports, someone who proudly represented the country on an international level, now wandering the streets, lost and forgotten. That's exactly what happened to Tania, former tennis champion who back in the 90s was a big deal. People admired her for her talent and her ability to put Nigeria on the map in the world of tennis. But life took a dark turn for her, and now she's back in the spotlight, but for a completely different reason. So let's rewind a bit and really break down what happened here. Back in the day, Tania Okpala was a name that stood tall in Nigeria's sports community. She played lawn tennis and was one of the female athletes representing Nigeria internationally in the 1990s. We're talking about a time where Nigeria was really trying to make a name for itself in various sports, and athletes like Tania were seen as national heroes. She was one of the few who broke through the ranks and gave people a reason to be proud of Nigerian sports, specifically tennis, a sport that wasn't getting as much love as football or athletics. Tania was born to a Nigerian father from Anambra State and a Belarusian mother. Her mixed heritage gave her a unique story a lot of people find intriguing. Even though she had this global background, she chose to represent Nigeria, and for that, many respected her. She carried the green and white flag with pride during her tennis career, and it seemed like she had a promising future ahead of her. But life doesn't always go as planned, does it? Fast forward to a couple of decades, and Tania's life has drastically changed. She's no longer in the spotlight for her tennis skills. Instead, in a heart-wrenching video that went viral earlier this year, she was spotted wandering the streets of Awka, the capital of Anambra State. She looked disoriented, homeless, and mentally unstable. To see someone who once had so much promise reduced to this state was shocking, to say the least. Tania was reportedly living in the US after her tennis career, but somewhere along the way, things fell apart. In the viral video, she mentioned how people would tell her to go back to her country, a phrase that really hit hard, especially considering her mixed race background. It's heartbreaking to think that she went from a celebrated athlete to someone struggling with homelessness and mental health issues right in the streets of her homeland. And you all know how social media works. Once that video got out, it spread like wildfire. People were shocked, saddened, and curious about what went wrong. How did a former tennis champion end up like this? Why wasn't anyone helping her, even her family? Thankfully, the Anambra State government, led by Governor Soludo, didn't waste time in stepping in. After seeing the viral video, they quickly took action. Governor Soludo announced on his social media that the state had taken custody of Tania and that she would be rehabilitated. It was a relief for many who were following her story and hoping that she would get the help she desperately needed. Governor Soludo made it clear that they weren't just giving her temporary assistance. The goal was to fully rehabilitate her and unite her with her daughter and other family members. This was a huge move because for someone in Tania's situation, getting the right kind of care and support would mean the difference between staying lost and finding a way back to a meaningful life. It's worth noting that mental health issues aren't often talked about enough in Nigeria, but this case has definitely sparked some much needed conversations. The government's decision to intervene was seen as a positive step in addressing not just Tania's immediate needs, but also in shedding light on the importance of mental health care. And here is where the story takes an inspiring turn. After some time in rehabilitation, Tania Okpala made a comeback, and not just any comeback. She's been appointed as a special assistant to the governor on social works in the State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Welfare. Can you believe that? Just months after being found wandering the streets of Awka, Tania has been given a new opportunity to help others. This appointment is more than just a job for her. It's a second chance at life. Tania's own story of falling from grace and rising again can serve as an inspiration to so many people out there. The wife of the governor, Dr. Tania Soludo, who was instrumental in Tania's rehabilitation, mentions that Tania is expected to use her life story to educate the younger generation. She's going to be involved in social interventions, helping those in need, and hopefully making a real difference in people's lives. It's crazy to think how far she's come in just a few short months, from wandering the streets to working in government. It really shows that no matter how far someone falls, there's always a chance for redemption, especially with the right support. Tania Okpala's story isn't just about one woman's fall and rise. It's a reflection of so many issues that we don't always talk about enough in Nigeria. Mental health, homelessness, and the challenges faced by those who leave the country in search of a better life, only to come back home with nothing. It's also a story about the power of community and how important it is for people to look out for one another. If that viral video hadn't surfaced, who knows what would have happened to Tania? Would she have continued wandering the streets, or would someone have stepped in eventually? The fact that people cared enough to share her story and the government acted quickly shows that when people come together, real change can happen. And let's not forget the role that social media played here. While social media can sometimes feel like a toxic space, it also has the power to bring attention to real issues. In Tania's case, it was social media that made the government take notice, and ultimately it led to her rescue and rehabilitation. Now that Tania is back on her feet and has a new role, the big question is, what's next for her? She's already been given a platform to help others, and it seems like she's ready to embrace this new chapter in her life. But more than anything, Tania's story serves as a reminder that no matter how bad things get, there's always hope. For Tania, this is just the beginning of a new journey. She has a unique opportunity to use her story to inspire others, to show people that even in the darkest of time, there's always a way out.